Hi there, Good Word fam. It's Tisha with Fox 5 and the Good Word podcast. And joining me is Ben's Chili Bowl founder, Virginia Ali. Miss Virginia, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Tisha.
And congratulations on 6 decades of serving delicious food, delicious chili, and really inspiring the DMV.
Well, thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
I think the last time I saw you, it's been years. I had just had my baby,
Yeah.
and you gave me some gems and nuggets of wisdom. And the big takeaway was that you cannot go back and re-raise your child.
Yep. It's a one. You have one shot at that one.
That's
One
what you told
shot
me.
at raising that child. I said you can get another spouse, you can get another degree, you can get another job, you can get another house, but you can have one opportunity to raise that child.
And that stuck with me. And now, 7 years later, my daughter just turned 7.
Oh,
I know.
isn't it wonderful though?
It is. It is. And I think of that nugget and jewel and gem that you shared with me often, daily. And it's so true and it's so important. And, this is a faith-based podcast. So obviously, faith plays such a big role in the podcast, but also in my life and also in your life, 6 decades
Yeah.
of having this iconic business. How has your faith impacted that journey and your journey?
Well, of course, you have to have faith of always. I always want the glass to be half full, not half empty. And 65 years ago, when we opened that chili bowl, I was 24 years old. My husband was there with me, and we opened it on what we call Black Broadway. You want that kind of history? You
Yes.
want to talk about that? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, well, prior to my meeting my husband, I worked at Industrial Bank, which is also an iconic African-American operated bank. It's been there 87 years by one family. Now the third generation is operating that. So that's another business that I'm very proud of. But I worked there as a commercial teller, and it was there that I learned how much I enjoyed interacting with different people every day. Rather than an office job or maybe in the classroom, I thought when my husband said, would you be willing to partner with me in a restaurant? I said, more people. Yes, of course. So we opened the restaurant. We knew we wanted to be a part of a community. We knew we wanted to really be a big part of that community. So because I enjoy people so much, I got to know the customers as they came in. So if I saw the same person 3 times in a week, I would know his name by the time he left, right? And we had the opportunity to open this little restaurant on what we call Black Broadway, which was the commercial street for African American entertainment. There were 3 theaters, one next door to the Chili Bowl, one in the following block, and one in the following block. So when the first-rate movie was released in Hollywood and came to the theater that we could not go to because of segregation, we had our own. It would come to our theater the very same day. It was a very beautiful community and beautiful neighborhood, probably because Howard University has been there since open in 1867. So we had these highly educated people right there in our community. So when I met Ben and we wanted to be married and open a little restaurant, I knew the architects that we had in our community, the contractors, I knew the electrician, the plumber, the cabinet maker, all in our community. Just a few blocks away, all those 5 of those people that helped us to get that business open. And that's how we got it started, August 22nd, 1958.
That is incredible. And now here we are decades later. Did you ever imagine it would be the iconic staple for DC, Maryland, Virginia, for the DMV that it has become?
No, I certainly did not anticipate that. We just thought we'd open a little business to make a living so that we could raise our children. We had 3 wonderful sons. And believe it or not, Tisha, they've joined us in the business.
Wow.
So the next generation. And since I'm going to be 90 years old in December, that's a really good thing.
Are
Not,
you
not
cutting back at all? Are you retiring at all
I'm
yet or
going
no?
down there when I get off this podcast with you. I'll be going down. I'm at home now, but I will be going there when I finish my podcast.
That's
So
incredible.
I enjoy people and I enjoy my restaurant. And you know, when you treat people the way you want to be treated, you don't have a problem. We've been through so many challenges over those 65 years. We went through the civil rights movement. I had the pleasure of sitting with Dr. Martin Luther King several times in 1963 when he came to town to get his march going on, that March on Washington, which took place on August the 28th. We just celebrated 60 years of that. 60 years of that. And I had the pleasure of doing that. And I was also there when they made that speech, my husband and I. And so we went through all these beautiful times, and we knew a change was going to come when we did pass the Civil Rights Bill the very next year, 1964. But 5 years later, he was assassinated. That was a heartbreaking time for that community. People were sobbing openly. It was just a very sad, sad time. But then that sadness turned to frustration. The frustration turned to anger. And literally, we destroyed our community. That was what we call the riots. I call it the uprising. People were so frustrated, they didn't know what else to do. Literally destroyed the community. We were the only place that was asked to remain open during 3 nights of curfew. They did have to put a curfew in place for 3 nights. That was scary, but we were able to do that as well.
When you talk about that, it brings to mind for me the crisis, or I should say crime trend that is taking place in the district now. What would you say is the solution?
I wish I knew the solution, Tisha. This is worse than anything I've ever seen. When we had that going on in 1968, it was a frustration, but we didn't have a drug problem. That came later. We didn't have technology where you're playing those aggressive games all of your life as a teenager. That's all you've known. You're playing these aggressive games on the computer. Sometimes I feel like they're acting them out. No, I don't know where we can go to get this help, but I do know we have to find a way. These children, these young people, and they're teenagers, many of them. Why are your children at 12, 13, 14, 15 in the street at night?
Right.
That's not being a mom. That's not being a parent. So that's the beginning, but what's going on with the parent?
Right.
They're young, and when I've observed in my chili bowl is the best babysitter in the world seems to be that little telephone. They can put the 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, or 6, and on up to 40 almost. Put that down there and they're mesmerized. Just give them some food. That is not healthy. That is not healthy. I find it addictive. The people that I've talked to, young people, they become addicted to the thing.
Right.
I don't know. Physical activity is very, very important in raising your children.
Yes.
Every day, there must be some physical activity. Walk to school, go play basketball, go run around the block, go jump rope, go do something. Right. Do we see that anymore? We don't see them out doing that. When's the last time you saw somebody jumping rope?
It's been a while.
That used to be a
Oh, wow.
sidewalk thing.
And that
Yeah,
used to be a daily occurrence on the playground. Let me ask
absolutely.
you, I grew up here. This is home for me. I grew up in Greater Mount Calvary Holy Church with Bishop Alfred Owens and co-pastor Susie C. Owens. And I was raised in Northern Virginia, as many of the folks who listen to the Good Word podcast know. And I have heard from a bird that there is a possibility that you might be considering opening a Ben's Chili Bowl in Dumfries, right where I live. You know who's spreading that.
I do know, I do know.
Yes, so
And
Dumfries Mayor Derek Wood posted something about this on Instagram, and I immediately saw it, and I said, you know what, I am going to ask, because coincidentally we were scheduled to chat. So how likely is something like this could come
well,
to fruition?
the next generation of people that will operate the Chili Bowl are my 3 sons and daughters-in-law. And that is definitely in the plan. That's what they plan to do. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Huh?
That would
But,
be amazing.
yeah, that's what they plan to do. So,
What is it like passing along the torch to your 3 sons and your 3 daughters-in-law that you mentioned? What's it like for you? Is it bittersweet? Are you happy? Are you sad? How do you feel about that?
well, of course, sometimes there are mixed emotions, but you got to remember, because it is hard work. And it is a commitment to own and operate that little restaurant. It's a commitment. Ben and I were married 10 years before we had a whole week's vacation together. I took mine and he took his. One of us stayed what would be called the baby at the time. So
Right.
it's a commitment. But 3 of them being there together, one of them is a lawyer, but the 3 of them being there together can have time for family. One can take this vacation or do whatever he needs with his family, and the other 2 will cover. And they've already opened up a few other places, but the franchising is what's now on the calendar for them. And Dumfries, yeah, it's way up on the list.
You mentioned the franchising. You all are in grocery stores now. Did you ever
Ah,
think you would see the day?
it never even occurred to me that's the second generation. That's my second generation. And the other good thing, Tisha, about that happening and my children being with me, I get to see them every day. All I have to do is go to the Chili Bowl. They have their own homes and they all live in the city. And we see each other every day. When I go down there they are. They're not always in that particular store, but during the course of the day, everybody comes through the old original Chili Bowl, every one of them. So I get to see them every day. That's a real plus for a mom.
A very sweet treat. My mother is very involved with our lives as well. And as she is getting older, I realize how precious that is to have your parents, your family. And so that is a wonderful treat. I want to ask you the role that faith plays in building such a successful business.
The role that faith play big. Well, you must have faith. We grew up in homes like that. We went to church
Yes.
from kids from the high chair. We went to church every Sunday. We went to Sunday school. We learned about faith and we kept it, and that was practiced in the home. I remember as a child, no one, at 6 o'clock in the morning, there would be breakfast served because I grew up on a farm. My dad had a big farm. And no one would touch the food until Dad came and said, Heavenly Father, we thank you for the food, right?
Right.
But it was a way of life. It was a way of life. Faith, coming up with faith was just a way of life. Every day, all day. So yes, it plays a major role when you decide that, oh, I don't know if I can make this. Is this going to work? You say your prayers and you get in there and you don't give up. You know that you've got a good product. You know that you treat people the way you want to be treated. And faith comes in there and you're all right.
When
And I've
did
been
you
so blessed. Tisha, I've been so blessed because in all my 65 years down there, in spite of it becoming a ghetto after the rise of 68 and heroin moved in and crack cocaine moved in and all that, crime was all over the place. Nobody's bothered me or my place.
Mm.
That's because I have faith, and that's because I treat people, as I said, the way I'd like to be treated. And that's
Mhm.
all. I've served people from all walks of life, all walks of life, from the guy on the corner to the drug addicts, to everybody, right on up to the president, everybody in between. So it's been a pleasure.
It sounds like you've had this incredible and amazing journey. You talk about church and faith and growing up in the church. I grew up in the church.
Mhm.
When did all of that change? Because I remember growing up, we were at church several times throughout the week and all day on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. All day on Sunday and Sunday school first.
Right.
When you were young, it was Sunday school first. Then I sang in the junior choir and then in the senior choir. Yeah. So I don't know when it changed. I think, I think about clothes. I think about the way we dressed. I think about maybe it started with Casual Friday. You're not old enough to know about Casual Friday, are you?
I
Was
am.
maybe it started with Casual Friday. And then the entertainment world being provocatively dressed. So now when I see the young ladies, I'm like, wow. I said to one from the other day, on a very warm day, a couple comes into the chili bowl, and she was a very attractive young lady. And I said, you are so attractive. Look at you. I said, but did you forget some of your clothes? The guy with her high-fived me.
Hey, listen,
I high-fived me.
that sounds like something that my mother would say.
Yeah.
And she always tells me they're all our children. They're
Yes.
all our children.
Well, it takes a village, of course it does. And I do know the times when I could go right out there. If I saw a young person out there and it was a school day and he was near my chili bowl, I could go out there and say, wow, you're out of school.
Right.
Come on in, sit down, tell me about it. And then when I found out he's supposed to be at school, I said, what's your phone number at home?
Right.
And you call the parent. The parent will go out of the way to come and say thank you to me.
Right. Right.
Now they tell me to mind your own business. Well, not
Right.
exactly, but
Times
that's
have changed.
yeah,
And now there's a fear even in interfering,
yeah, yeah,
with anyone.
yeah, exactly. So it's a kind of a different world. It's very hard for me to adjust to it, but we're all just people, and we've got to find a way to help.
Absolutely. So everyone that comes on the podcast, Miss Virginia, we always ask them to share what is the good word. So what would you say would be the message that you want to leave everyone with?
Treat people the way you'd like to be treated. Always, all people. We're all just people. Treat everyone the way you would like to be treated, and you
And
don't
we're
have.
and we're in an age, obviously, where social media, everyone's online and on social media platforms. How can folks follow along your journey, Bench Chili Bowl, their journey? Where are you guys on social media?
Well, I'm not into social media, but I don't
But you
have it.
guys are on
I
Facebook and
don't.
Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff.
I like sitting in front of you. I like
Yes,
being with you.
yes,
Yes, I like being with you. I like to have, we grew up in a time when we entertained at home. If we didn't
yes,
have anything but hot dog and beans, we still
yeah,
entertained at home.
yes. That
Or a
was
little
the
spaghetti
meal.
with some ground beef, yeah.
Yes,
He said that's what we did. We entertained at home and we did things together.
right.
So I don't know how much of that's happening now. I don't know.
But I think you all are doing a great job of trying to hold on to that and bring it back, and hopefully we can. And it's going to take all of us. And I don't think anyone has the solution, but we take it one day at a time.
That's right. And that's right. And start inviting your neighbor over, which we do. Invite your neighbor over for tea or for something, for ice cream and cookies, anything.
Right.
Let's get together. And a nice day in the summertime, you just do something outside. Or you go for a walk together. You do something with each other.
Right.
You see people sitting down having lunch and everybody's got a phone in front of them.
You got to put the phone down.
Yeah, they're not communicating. The young people, it's terrible.
You know,
So
it's
we got,
interesting you mentioned that because I was just saying to someone the other day, I feel like we use our phone for everything but to talk on the phone. So we
you're
use the
right.
phone for time and pictures and video and internet and email and social media, and we are rarely having conversations
You
on
really
the
want to
phone.
reach, if you want to reach somebody, you'll have to text them because the bell is off for the phone call. They don't have time to talk to you.
Or you know what, grab your neighbor and head to Ben's Chili Bowl for a bowl of chili. So incredible, Miss Virginia, the living legacy that you have here for us in the DMV. I hope and pray you can expand to Virginia. Congratulations on 6 decades of business. That's quite an accomplishment. And also passing it along to the next generation. That is so incredible. We love you, and you have been just such a gem in our community. And we're so happy that you're able to share all this wisdom and nuggets with us.
Well, thank you for having me. My sons and daughters-in-law are going to take it into the next phase of life, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm just going to go down and greet and say hello to everybody.
Wonderful. That's fun too.
Although once in a while, I find something to do down there. Yeah. So I'm still
Wonderful.
active. I'm still active, but I'll be 90 years old in December.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Thank
not
you.
missing a beat, Miss Virginia Ali, founder of Ben's Chili Bowl. Thank you so much for joining us on the Good Word podcast.
Thank you very much. Good,
And for
good to
folks
see you.
listening, also make sure you subscribe. We're on iTunes, Audio Boom, Google Play, and everywhere that podcasts play.
Okay, you know, Vita knows how to get up. You do all that
Yes.
with Vita.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vita.
Vita's fine. She's okay. Thank you so much. I'll tell her. Thank you.